Hello friends and welcome back to Tronic. In this video I will show you how to create an automation script that will like or unlike all user posts on Instagram. If you would like to code along with me, please make sure that you have installed Python and the Selenium automation tool on your computer. Create a new Python file called login, and inside the file define a method called login. At the bottom of the script include the if statement to make sure that the interpreter executes this method. At the top of the script, let's write a few import statements. From the module time, we're going to import the class sleep, and we're going to import as well from Selenium. We're going to import the WebDriver, and we have to import one more class from Selenium. We have to import the class by. Save the file and open up your browser. Navigate to Instagram. As you can see, there is this cookies model with two buttons: allow all cookies and decline optional cookies. I am happily going to decline the optional cookies. Talking about food, do you know when astronauts eat lunch? At lunchtime. Copy your browser's URL and navigate to your IDE. Let's define a driver. WebDriver, and I'm using Chrome. In the login method, let's instruct the browser to open up this link, and below that we're going to write a try block. Let's first delay the execution of the script for 2 seconds. Head over to your browser, open Developer Tools, and locate this Decline Optional Cookies button. Click on it and copy the class name. We're going to find the reference to this button by the class name. Inside your IDE, write a try block. Driver find element by XPath, and we're interested to find a button that contains the class and instruct it to click on it. We can accept an exception, and for now print out a message: cookie bar not found. Below that, let's call the sleep method and delay the execution of the script for 2 seconds. Let's also define two variables, one called username, which will be your username that you use to log in into Instagram. Mine is front of heroes, and a user password, of course. This is mine. I'll give you a friendly reminder and a pro tip: do not waste your time trying to log in with these credentials. I'm going to change them as soon as I finish recording. Back to your browser, close the model and inspect the first input field, which is used to type in your phone number, username, or email address. This input name has a name attribute that has the value username. Copy that value. Inside your code editor, we're going to instruct the browser to find this element by XPath, and we're interested to find the input that contains the name, which is username, and we're going to instruct the browser to send the keys to type inside this input field, in this case the username. Copy this line and paste it below. Back to your browser, inspect the second input field for the password, and this input field has a name attribute with the value password. Copy that value and replace it with the username here. So we're looking for an input field that has the name attribute set to password, and we're going to send the keys. In this case, we're going to type in the user password. Copy this line again and paste it below. Now we need to look for the login button, and this is a div, and this div contains the button which is used to submit the form. So copy the class name, and here we are going to write down driver find element by xpath. It is a button that we're looking for with the class, and paste the class name here and replace the send keys method with click. Back to the browser, let's log in manually inside Instagram to see the behavior of the website. Close the model and type in your credentials. As you can see, it does take a few seconds here, so we have to take that into consideration. Back to the IDE, we are going to instruct the browser to delay the execution of the script for 5 seconds, save the file, and let's test the script. Now, as you can see, the browser has closed once the script has executed. I don't like that behavior, so I will replace Chrome with Firefox and execute the script again. As you can see, the script has executed and the browser is still open. So everything works as expected. Welcome to the second part of this video series. Next up, we are going to create a Python file that will handle the logic of liking or unliking user posts. Let's start by creating a new Python file. I'm going to call mine like_unlike user post, and inside this newly created file define a method like_unlike user post, and at the bottom of the script include the if statement to ensure that the interpreter executes this method. Now at the top of the script, let's write the import statement to import everything from the login file. From login import everything. Inside the like_unlike user post method, I will create a variable called URL. I will call the method input to use the terminal to enter the specific Instagram account URL. Below that, I will define a variable called action with a default value of an empty string. Since this method can perform one of two actions, which are like or unlike, we also have to specify which action we want to perform. And for that, I will use a while loop, while action, not in a set of options, which is like or unlike. I want that a message appears in the terminal, so that will say enter action, and the options are like or unlike. So with that being set up, we can call the login method that we created in the first part of this video and instruct the browser to get this specific URL to navigate to this page, and after that we will call the method sleep to delay the execution of the script for about 3 seconds, just so we give the browser enough time to load the content of the page. Let's now execute the script. In the terminal, we can specify the Instagram account URL and an action. On this page, there is a mechanism called infinite scroll, which is used to add content to the page as soon as a user scrolls to the bottom of the page. The code that we must write has to determine the initial height of the page, execute JavaScript code to scroll to the bottom, and then again determine the new height of the page and compare it with the previous one. If the values are not the same, the process of scrolling down should continue until the values of the previous height and the new height are the same, which means that we reach the bottom of the page and there are no more posts being added. Open Developer Tools and inside the console, write the following code. Document.body.scroll height. The scroll height method will return us the value in pixels, which represents the height of the page. In my case, it's 1742 pixels. For you, it might be different. That is totally fine. Another method that we can use to scroll to the bottom of the page, we can call on the window. So window.scroll2. It's taking two arguments, the x and y coordinates. Since we don't have any horizontal scroll, we can write down 0, and vertically we want to scroll to the bottom, which will be then in this case the full height of the page, and we can determine that by the document.body.scroll height. As you can see, it's scrolling down. Let's rerun the code again. Wonderful. Now we have everything we need to write our Python script. Inside the code editor, let's write down a variable called last height. And we are going to instruct the driver to execute a script to return the value that we receive from the document.body.scroll height. Below that, I will create a list for the posts. So posts list. This will store all the URLs of the posts. And below that, we are going to execute a while loop. So while true, we are going to first scroll down to the bottom. So again, driver execute script, and in this case we're going to write down window dot scroll to, x-axis is 0 and the y-axis is this. So it's always going to be a different value. That's why we cannot hard code any values here. Below that, I'm going to delay the execution of the script for another 3 seconds just to allow the browser to load the new content. And below that, once we scroll to the bottom, we are going to now determine the new height of the page. So new height is going to be the same code that we wrote here. Copy and paste this below. Back to the browser, if we inspect one row, we can see that each row contains at most 3 posts. Each of the posts are inside a div element with the same class name. Copy that class name and open your code editor. Inside here, let's write for post in row.find elements by xpath, and we're looking for the divs that contain the class. Below that, once we have now a reference to a post, let's see, open one post, we can find a reference to the A tag to extract the href attribute to get the link of the post so that we can keep track of the posts that we liked or unliked. Inside your code editor, write post underscore link is equal to post.find element by tag name, and we're looking for the A tag, calling the get attribute method, and we are going to extract the href attribute, which will return us the link. Below that, let's see, we can then click on the post to open this model. So post.click, and let's call the sleep method to allow the model a few seconds to load the content. Inside the browser, open Developer Tools and let's find a reference to the heart button since we need to click on it. Looking at the layout here, I can see that this span element contains a div which contains another div, and that one contains the span element which contains the SVG, which is the heart. So we will use this class name over here to find a reference to this element first. So inside your code editor, let's find a reference to that element. Heart button is equal to driver.find element by xpath, and we're looking for the span element that has the class that we just copied, and we have to then go to this child element and then to its child element and then to its child element. So twice the div and one time the span element. So div, and one more span. Good. Below that, we can now write the if statements to determine when a specific action can be performed. Now, if we look at the browser here and inspect the SVG, we see that the border of this heart has an RGB color 245, 245, 245. Now, when I like this post and I inspect the SVG again, we can see that the color has changed. So we can use the SVG to get the fill attribute, which holds the color of it, so that we can determine when an action can be performed. So inside the code editor, let's say if the action that we specify from the terminal is like, and the heart button, we find the element by the tag name, and we are looking for an SVG element. We're going to call the get attribute method to get the fill value. If this value is equal to, and let's just unlike it and copy this value. So if the action that we specify is like, and this heart button has a white border, then and only then we can like it. So we can say heart button dot click. Copy these 3 lines and paste them below. Let's now create an if statement to check when the unliking of a post can be performed. If the action is equal to unlike, and the heart button finds an element, SVG element with the fill color that is not equal to white, which means it's red, only then click on it, which will mean that we are unliking the posts. Below that, let's also make sure that we close the model before we continue with the next post. Inspect that X icon over here, and we can find a reference to this element by this class name. So it's a div. So inside here, let's write driver dot find element by xpath, and we are looking for the div that contains the class, and instruct the browser to click on this element. Save the file. Let's write also here an if statement above to keep track of all the posts that we have liked or unliked. So if post link not in posts list, then we can move this inside here. Only then we will append to the posts list the post link. And also I will, at the end of the for statement, for loop, here I will compare if the new height is equal to the last height, which means that we reached the bottom of the page. In that case, I will write a break statement to stop the execution of the code in the while loop. Otherwise it will run
to infinity and beyond.
So if that's not the case, then the last height will be the new height. And we can at the bottom here also print out a message which will be a string which contains the length of the posts, Oh, I have to posts list, and we can say found. So it will say how many posts we have found. Open your terminal and execute the script. I'm going to select the action like. As you can see, the posts are being liked one by one. In another terminal, I'm going to run the script. This time I will select the action unlike. As you can see on the left side, the posts are being unliked one by one. On the right side, the posts are being liked one by one. Instagram has many mechanisms to track user behavior on the website, one of which is called throttling, which is a mechanism to control the speed of requests sent to the server. In order to avoid this, we need to increase the delay between consecutive calls made to the server. Let's increase the values provided inside the sleep methods. Inside the while loop, I will replace the 3 with a 10. Inside the for loop, I will replace this 3 as well with a 10. And inside the for loop, I will replace the 2 with a 5, which means that each consecutive call made to the Instagram server will have a delay of 25 seconds, which should be enough to mitigate the throttling error. That's all for this video. I will provide a link to the GitHub repository in the video description. Feel free to utilize this script for efficiently handling the task of liking or unliking user posts. I would love to hear your feedback in the comment section about your experience with it. Thank you for watching. Like and subscribe. Don't be greedy, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye for now.